Yeah, there's been, I mean, we're not fearless by any means. Um, I've had two malfunctions. I had one in Idaho with a delayed opening, and by the time I realized that I was the second man out of the stick, and I looked over and saw the first jumper, going up, and then because there's no sensation of falling, you kind of like you're just flying. There was nothing relative to measure your fall. But when I saw him going up, I figured I must be going down faster than he is, and nothing was opening. And I realized I'm in trouble, and I reached for my reserve, and just as I had my hand on the reserve, the chute opened, and everything turned out all right. But the first thing I thought of when I put my hand on the reserve, and that's when I started to look up to see what was going on. And I remembered, don't drop the handle, because if you drop the handle, you owed money to the kitty. So I didn't want to. That was well instilled. So and then I had a second malfunction. Jumped on a practice jump out of Soldotna. I had a line over, and I just kept spinning around and around. And I finally worked most of it loose to where I didn't have to pull a reserve. Those were not so frightening. That was just a situation I had to deal with quickly. And when I had the delayed opening, it was afterwards I realized, oh, that could have hurt real bad. And but by the time that had opened, well, it's over with. Live in the present, it's gone. I'm okay. Do it again. Just jump again. So, but then we got picked off of a fire, 74, 75, where I think it's the Yukon and the Tanana come together. I'm not sure if that's possible, but there where the Tanana meets a large tributary from the north, upriver from the village of Tanana. We jumped between those two rivers, that fork of the river. And I remember on the jump, I could see Denali about 70 miles away. It was spectacular. But we were there a couple days. There's a lot of other details to that fire too. But when we got picked up, it was in the evening, and fog was setting in, overcast was coming in, and they were, of course, 4 hours late for us getting out of there. We had a big jump spot, or a heli spot picked up, or cleaned up, all our gear there, and then helicopter didn't get there for a long time. And when it came in, oh yeah, and we had already torn down our shelters, which you never do till you hear the helicopter, but we violated the rule, so we got bit. And when he came up underneath the cloud bank of one, maybe the first time he came in fairly well. So he took a load out, and that was most of the gear, I think. But he came back for most of the jumpers in. But anyway, when he came in the second time, we couldn't take all the gear. The weather's getting worse, and he had to come in underneath the clouds along the river. And then he said to radio him when we heard when he was due west of us, to let him know. And then he would creep up over the top into the clouds, looking at the trees, and he would come up, and we had flares lit for him. So he creeped up over the top of this ridge and got up on top of the ridge, landed, and we piled in, and we probably had a whole Huey full, maybe 8 jumpers, damp, wet, temperature was changing. So when we got in, all the windows fogged up. And the idea was he was going to pick up, go over this ridge, and slowly drop down to get underneath the fog, and then go out to the river bottom on this other river. And as we got up, the windows were all fogged up, everybody breathing, wet clothes, temperature changed, and then, and all of a sudden, and I remember the pilot, I was in the back looking behind the pilot, and he reached down to clear off the glass so he could see. And as he was doing that, all of a sudden you heard whop, 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 and whipping and cracking. And we looked over, and the aspen trees were just being shredded beside us. And so the blade he got down low and was hitting the trees. And then I remember he jerked back and he pulled the collective up, and we just shot straight up. And so we were no more cracking of trees, but where were we? So he said he said clean the windows. We're going to go back down and find the trees, and then we'll be able to get back down the mountain. And the windows got cleaned. Nobody said a word. Everybody just looking hard. And pretty soon we saw trees, and he was very calm about it. And I don't even know the pilot, but he was very calm about it. And we slipped back down and got out of there. So, and that happens all the time. I mean, maybe not that severe, but anytime you ride a helicopter, there's so many moving parts to it, you don't know. And I'm amazed that not more accidents happen, but that's just the potential of the job. And no one's riding on the freeway all summer, so we were probably safer than most people. So, but that's that was one that I thought maybe. I think that was 75 because I didn't come back in 76. And there were several things that summer that kind of motivated me to, go make a stand someplace. That's what we always called getting a real job, was make a stand. And I became a teacher 2 years later, and I made less money in 9 months than I did in 5 months as a jumper. I only survived at that 3 years. So.